with breaking news.
Breaking news we are following this morning. A person is in the hospital after they were hit by a car. Authorities say the crash happened just after 10:30 last night. This is near 40th and Cumming. Now, so far, no word about the extent of their injuries or details about any charges, but stay with First Alert 6 as we're hoping to get some more details later on today.
And good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us on this Tuesday morning on First Alert 6 streaming. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley, joined by meteorologist Jarrett Lansford and Senior Chief Meteorologist Rusty Lord. Hope the rain didn't keep you up too much last night. It was a little bit noisy for I didn't wake up, but of course, as you're getting ready, of course, we're like, oh, it's a little bit loud.
Yeah.
All right, so as that's now starting to just clear out, what does that look like for this morning's forecast?
Still have some rain chances around the rest of the day, but the steadiest has moved on. And by the way, you're always the one that sleeps through the thunderstorms. It seems like we're always like, oh,
I'm pretty dead when I sleep.
Good. You are a sound sleeper.
I am.
All right, so this is what it looks like out there right now. You got beautiful color as we start off the day. A lot of clouds from Omaha on south. You'll notice a little more sunlight to the north. As we look out across the city, we're at 65 right now with calm winds, but from this point here, we're going to try to warm up a little bit today, but the clouds will really control our weather today. Mid 60s as we go through the course of the next several hours. A couple of lower 60s showing up on the Iowa side. It is a little cooler there, and there's the sunlight we see as we look towards the horizon. That's probably the most we'll see during the day today. Muggy meter, low end of the muggy range, but it's there, and that's where we're going to stay pretty much all day today and into the afternoon and evening hours as well. Much from yesterday, but it will be a lot cooler because of the clouds that are blanketing the area and a good amount of rain still showing up. The steadiest, heaviest rain and the biggest rain totals the rest of the way today are going to be south of Omaha and likely south of Lincoln. You can see where the north edge of this is, but every once in a while we're going to get a little development as far north as I-80 and the Platte River here. You can see a little bit of that back here near Columbus. A lot of that will fizzle, so anybody north of I-80 on the Iowa side or north of the Platte River on the Nebraska side, you're likely going to stay a lot drier than the rest of us today. But that's a pretty good blanket of rain across northwest Missouri and far southeast Nebraska. So if you're getting up, you're heading south on I-29, you're going to drive into that south of Nebraska City and likely stay with you all the way to Kansas City at this point. In and around the metro, you got pretty light mist if there's anything. A lot of that's just ground clutter, but model's doing a pretty good job of showing us where the rain is. By 9 o'clock, you can see scattered showers and thunder showers try to develop a little farther north, but you'll notice I'm skeptical if we'll get this development right here, this little line of thunder showers. If that happens, that'll be a pretty good soaker around lunch, but most of the rain will probably stay south of that, and anything up this far north will be a little more intermittent into the afternoon and early evening. By 6 o'clock or so, most of this is down to the south and out of the area, and start to move out of the area, I should say. By 10 o'clock, you can see not too much left, and the rest of the night, we'll see the clouds gradually break apart. And to start off tomorrow, got a little sunlight to the north, thicker clouds to the south, and overall sunlight will be back in play on Wednesday. So additional rainfall from here on out. If that little line of thunder showers develops over the metro and along the Platte and I-80, you could get some 1-inch plus totals out of that, but the bigger numbers mostly on the south side of the map. Same story, different model, bigger numbers south of I-80. So that's what we'll be watching today. How much additional rainfall do we add to the mix? So a lot of places got an inch or better. So that's good for crops, good for gardens, yards, stuff like that. You know, you can probably save some water with the sprinklers the rest of the week. 1 to 3 inches, pretty common around the metro. You want to save a little water here. Not too often you get to do that in fall, but we got a good soaking there, and it looks like that'll be good for the rest of the week.
All right. Well, speaking of the rest of the weekend, as we look at the weekend, we know we've got the big bye week, so no Husker game. We've got the big Terrence Crawford's parade, all the pumpkin patches, apple orchards are open. Is the weather still looking good for that?
That's the thing. A lot of things get planned on these bye weeks. Plus, we got the parade downtown. There's even some hints that we may take a few dips on the muggy meter over the course of the week and into early next week. If that lines up on Saturday, the way things continue to look, that's a pretty pleasant Saturday, but it is going to warm up a little bit. So 82 Thursday, 83 Friday. Right now looks pretty darn comfortable for that parade late morning through downtown with likely 70s. Then we'll get 80s in the afternoon and low 80s through next week as well. And you can see Wednesday and Thursday is October 1. and 2 there. And by then, our average high is about 73. So all these numbers after today are a little bit above average. So we're going to have a warm start to fall the way it looks, but pretty dry one too.
Okay. All right, I'll switch gears now. Got a closer look at traffic as we've been talking about the storms that happened overnight, causing, of course, the wet roads. So drivers, just take precaution.
It's a good idea to just be a little bit extra cautious this morning. I have seen some of the roads have started to dry out, so that could work in our favor and hopefully limit any kind of issues. But there's still going to be some spots where you do encounter a few of those puddles. Some of the ramps, curves, interchanges could be a little slick. So something to keep in mind as you're heading out the door. I have noticed we've already had some delays on the ramp from 680 to go to westbound Dodge Expressway. Those seem to have improved a little bit at this point from what I was seeing about 5-10 minutes ago. You can see that also reflected on the map here, but still watch for things to be not quite up to speed as you head through that stretch. That's the sort of area though where we could have some spots that get a little slick and maybe see some issues. Had some big time slowing that was in place on center as you were approaching 120th. That has also improved. Good sign there that we aren't looking at the issues that we were seeing. And 204th and Maple has had some consistent slowing off and on. That does look a little better, but still a little bit slow as well. So we're not looking at big issues in any of these spots, but just some spots that you want to keep in mind as you're heading out the door that could be maybe a little bit sluggish with the motion. We zoom out, you can see that we've got right around Benson, things remain a little bit slow this morning, but no big problems. And that's very encouraging that we're looking at things moving along in good shape despite that overnight rain that we had. Hopefully we can hold off any kind of problems as we continue through the commute. And if we do see any arise, of course, we'll let you know. But hopefully you just hear me saying the words, things look good for the rest of the morning.
And that it will be.
Yes.
All right, Jared, thank you. Well, we have new details on a request from the Justice Department asking for Nebraskans' voter registration data. State officials say a lawsuit is now filed to block the request. So last week we told you about the Secretary of State's office receiving a letter from the Justice Department asking for that information. Well, the Trump administration says it is looking into claims now of voter fraud. And we are still more than a year out from the 2026 midterms, but it's not slowing down the campaign season.
Independent Dan Osborne holding an event in Lincoln one day after his opponent next November. Nebraska Senator Pete Ricketts launched his re-election campaign. Osborne talked about the lessons he learned from this past campaign. He also explained his new campaign message, and that is uplifting workers.
People who built this country, the people who keep it running every single day, the teachers that nurture our kids, the nurses that nurture us back to health, the railroaders that connect us, the transportation workers that get us where we're going, the automotive workers that keep our cars running. Like it goes on and on and on. These are the people that keep this country running every single day, and we're not represented in our own government. And I'm here to change that.
See him here tonight. And we also have
A Lincoln sister station also caught up with Ricketts.
Sorry, she's right over here, and she is going to be running.
I'm taking the same stuff we did in Nebraska and bringing it to Washington, D.C. so we can benefit not just Nebraskans, but all Americans. So we're going to be out talking about what we're doing in Washington, D.C. to be able to make people's lives more affordable, to be able to keep our communities safe, provide more housing, all the things that are going to impact people's lives.
Osborne lost against Nebraska's Senator Eb Fisher last November.
All right, I'm here at the safety desk with our Maria Cage. She has some really interesting news. 2024 was actually the world's warmest year since record books have been keeping track.
I know, and they've been studying this, and it keeps going up and up and up. And that change in climate, it actually can have a really big impact on our health. So experts say that because of the climate change, this can actually raise the risk of people having heart attacks or strokes, unfortunately. It can also increase the rate of birth defects and poor birth outcomes. Another area of concern, they say, increase in people having lung diseases. And of course, you know, some people are more vulnerable to this than others. They see people with low incomes, certain racial groups, older adults. But, you know, to prepare for this, now that, you know, we know what's happening, we have the science and the research to back it up. You want to plan for disasters before they happen, weather events, things like that.
Gotcha.
So they say always have something handy in your car or in your home just to be extra safe.
Can never be too prepared. All right, Maria Kate at the safety desk this morning. Thank you. Very interesting. We'll be right back.
All right, welcome back. Time to 7:14 on this Tuesday morning. Taking a live look outside, overlooking Midtown Crossing, also the downtown Omaha skyline as well. Sun's starting to come up after all that rain that we had. If you suffer from allergies, of course, this is the time of year when things start to get a little bit worse.
Yeah.
So with that rain, there is a chance that maybe some of those allergy counts have gone down.
Yeah, they were down yesterday already, and I'm hoping that the rain that moved through over the last 24 hours can help out and lower those numbers even more. So that's the latest look at the pollen count here. We get the fresh numbers from the Douglas County Health Department during the 9 o'clock hour at the latest. This is always on our website if you want to check this out, but it's the weed pollen this time of the year, and those numbers are a little bit lower. So we had the rain that moved through, and you can see still some steady rain to the south, still a little bit hanging on to the west, although that's trying to drop down and meet up with this. There's not too much left north of the Platte River, but we could see a little bit of development as we go through the course of the day right along I-80, and that's the key, how much development we get north of this main batch. It should be a little more scattered up here, but it is possible to see some of that. There were some storm reports over the last 24 hours, and the bulk of the hail actually fell here in parts of Dodge and Saunders County with a couple of these thunderstorms that got going. Some of the biggest hail and the most reports were right around the Fremont area. You can kind of see it buried in there amongst the reports, but overall the hail wasn't widespread, which was great. Kept that fairly limited. Overall though, little bit of ground clutter showing up on the radar right now. This is a look at estimated rainfall over the last 24 hours. Some spots here around Millard, they got over 2 inches. You get into the yellows, we're talking about 2 inches plus. Same story down here around Highway 370, Papillion, over 2 inches radar estimated rainfall. The gauge in Millard about 2 1/4. So if you're around the Millard Airport, you got about 2 1/4 inches of rain. A little farther west, I was talking about some areas where we could get some 3-inch plus totals. We had that between Fremont and Cedar Bluffs, and radar estimates 3 to as much as right there in the middle, 4.5 inches, at least estimated by radar. And the bigger picture shows you where the heaviest rain kind of fell right down the middle of the map. I knew it'd be somewhere right along the river or west based on models, and that's kind of where it's set up with some of these heavier totals with a few little pockets that were up over 3 inches within that. Now, the rest of the day, we're talking rain chances. About a 50-50 shot, honestly, through noon, because the south half will have rain on the map, the north half won't. And then into the afternoon, and those chances start to back off a little bit. So the rainfall potential from here on out, the rest of the day, and then again, it'll be mostly morning and afternoon once this map loads here. Wait for it here. You know what? It wasn't that good of a map anyway, so we'll keep going. We got a few, something we'll watch here over the course of the next couple of days. There we go. That threw me. 82 Thursday, 83 on Friday. One thing to watch on Wednesday, there could be a couple spotty showers, a couple little showers that develop during the morning and into the afternoon. So heads up on that. I think most of the area stays dry on Wednesday, but a couple little thunder showers may try to pop up as we warm up to 77 degrees a little later on in the afternoon. So other than that, we get 80s right into that weekend. A little bit above average, as a matter of fact. The averages are in the 70s and falling off pretty quickly. And we lose a lot of warmth in the month of October usually.
Okay, we lose the warmth. Will we lose any humidity anytime soon?
Well, I wish we could just kind of kick the muggy meter to the curb.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Not able to do that just yet. A little humid today. You're going to feel it at times heading into the end of the week, but a little dip there Saturday holds some promise. We'll see if that can persist a little bit to pair up with our temperatures that are going to be in the 80s. Hold on, wait here. There you go, low 80s right into the early part of October, the way things are looking. And by then, like I mentioned, low 70s are typical for that time of the year. And you know, that temperature outlook that goes beyond, this takes you almost 2 weeks into the future, and warmer than average likely to be the story over a good portion of the country. Okay,
let's go back to traffic this morning. Of course, construction has been a big talker across the city for quite some time, but Jared has an update for us this morning.
Yeah, it's the old construction and a few new spots that could be some problems for you, in addition to some of those wet roads. So here's the old guard that's standing tall here. This is I-80 with all kinds of delays. You're going westbound as you're approaching Q into that Giles area. This is nothing new. This is something we see every morning, that we get these big backups, but just showing you that it's not fun driving through here still. If you're wondering, you've got all those delays through that stretch that we are typically seeing. I want to add a couple of other spots, though, that you need to plan around here this morning. That includes a closure on 60th between King and Craig. I know we've got some schools that are not too far away from this area. This closure is scheduled for 2 weeks, so you need to plan around that. If you're going north-south, maybe use 72nd as an alternate route. Let's go right back down near that area just west of I-80. We have 120th northbound approaching L with 1-lane travel. This could sneaky slow down with people navigating that. That's scheduled through Friday. Let's go a little further to the west. Southbound, as you're going 168th between Center and Q, some varying lane restrictions the next couple of days. How about one more? Dodge Street, and we are seeing some slowdowns as a result of this area in Dundee, about 50th to 52nd. Some varying lane restrictions that are in place. It's scheduled for about a month, so you're going to be looking at different traffic patterns through this area, and it may get slow whether you're going westbound or eastbound. It will vary depending on the time you drive through there. So right now it's westbound that's experiencing the delays. We'll continue to monitor that over the next couple of weeks, but mostly we're moving along pretty well. A couple spots starting to get their normal delays on Dodge as you're going around 168th, 180th eastbound, but we don't have any big issues that have popped up. Hopefully we keep it that way.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, Jared, thank you. Happening today, Omaha City Council members will look at homeless encampments and medical marijuana.
Yeah, one proposed ordinance would create rules for unauthorized encampments on public properties. It would also create penalties for people who do not comply. Another proposal mandates that any place distributing medical marijuana must follow the rules put into place by the state.
Still ahead, it's the quest to discover America's next singing superstar.
Now let's roll out those big red chairs when we come back. Well, last night was the premiere of the new season of The Voice.
Yeah, Reba, Michael Bublé, Niall Horan, and Snoop Dogg are all back. So here's a snippet from the first performance by Aiden Ross from Texas.
Take your eyes off of me so I can leave.
That happened fast.
Yeah, first one out the gate, and he got a forward chair turn. You can see why, though, right? His voice is like butter.
Yeah.
After his rendition of Adele's Love in the Dark, he decided to go with two-time winner Niall Horan.
Wow, that makes sense. I can hear
Yeah, you can watch The Voice every week right here on First Alert 6. If you were on the show, what team would you guys want to join?
I feel like Niall's a really popular choice now, especially with the younger contestants. But for me, I think I'd want to go with Michael Bublé.
I was going to say the same thing.
That's what was going to be my choice too.
He's got the technique, he's got the suave, the performance.
I'm a Bublé girl. Who would you be?
I might go Niall.
I thought you was going to say Snoop Dogg.
I do love Snoop. I haven't heard him sing a lot.
Rusty, you got to go get one. Who would you go with?
Bublé, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I like
Bublé.
his Christmas album. Pretty good.
All right, our producer's telling us to wrap. We got to go. We're going to get ready for our update into today's show. You can watch it here on streaming or over the air.
All right, have a good start to your Tuesday.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. Let's get an update on the roads this morning with meteorologist Gerald Lansford.
I've been watching to see if the slick conditions could cause us any problems. We do have this vehicle here on the on-ramp from 72nd to I-80, and you can see it's kind of slid off of the ramp a little bit. So watch for that. That's the sort of thing that we could see in some spots. Some of our roads have dried out, but we do have that chance that we see a couple of issues. You can see the ramps in a couple spots there at that interchange running a little slow at this point. Otherwise, we've mostly avoided any kind of big issues. We're starting to slow down quite a bit on eastbound Dodge. Not all that unusual for this point, right around 168th. And then that construction zone on I-80, of course, slow westbound approaching Giles. Rusty.
The heaviest rain has moved to the south, so we're pretty much done with that, but we could see a little more intermittent development north of this main batch here. So we'll continue to watch Beatrice over to Falls City, northwest Missouri, a little bit out west by Columbus. That's really fairly stationary, or if anything, drift into the south. We'll see a little bit more development, try to fire up near I-80 at times today, and that's kind of the story. We're locked in under the clouds. On and off showers, maybe a thunder shower, and then those try to continue into the afternoon. The best bet for steady rain will be south of I-80 though. 68 by noon, 71 at 2 o'clock, up to 73 for the high today, with rain possible at any point. But we're done with the steady rain in the metro the way it looks. Aaron?
All right, breaking news we are following. A person is in the hospital after they were hit by a car. Authorities say this all happened just after 10:30 last night near 40th and Cumming. So far, no word on the extent of the injuries or any charges.
It is 7:28, and we're back with another update for you in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.